Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the Aggie PrideCast. I'm Brian Holloway, your host, and once again, we have the best in Aggie guest joining us here this week. And our guest this week is North Carolina A&T Sports Hall of Famer Mo Smith, former NFL player and certainly an outstanding running back for North Carolina A&T in the late '90s. Mo, welcome to the show.
Hey, Brian, I appreciate you having me, man. Looking forward to this.
Oh yeah. It's gonna be fun. Speaking of Hall of Fame, we have a very important week coming up this week. We will induct 10 new Hall of Famers into the A&T Sports Hall of Fame, and so you'll have some new members alongside with you. And tell everyone what an exciting time that is for you guys to induct some of these new people into the A&T Sports Hall of Fame.
Awesome. Well, I'll be excited along with the members of my class in 2018 because we're no longer the neos, so to speak. So we won't have to do the grunt work anymore. But yes, these guys, these gentlemen, they have earned their stripes, and certainly welcoming them on tomorrow. In fact, with I think the start of the press conference at high noon, and then we'll have a weekend of extravaganza for those guys. Unfortunately, this should have taken place the previous year in 2020, but because of COVID, things are all out of whack. But I'm excited for them, and I've got, I think, two guys that I played with. No, one guy that I played with, and then three guys that I know personally, in addition to Kasim, going in. So that makes for an outstanding weekend. There's a lot of events planned, from the banquet to the golf tournament, and then there's a meet and greet after the golf tournament, and then of course the finale with the football game. And so we're excited, not only that it's happening on Aggie Eagle weekend, but I think that's probably the dessert in the filling there, because we get to whip upon the Eagles. And anytime we get to do that, man, it's always awesome.
You brought up Q, and I get a chance to talk to all these guys, which is a blessing because we do the banquet videos, and they're just so many interesting people that is absolutely amazing. One of the things he said about one of his former teammates named Mo Smith is that he said that so you never know if Mo likes you, but you always know he's trying to help you, which I thought is a very unique talent to have. But what is it like to be on a team and 20 years later, 25 years later, look back and have some of those great memories?
How about that? And I think what Kasim is actually speaking of, Kasim was a freshman. He was talented, just unusual talent. The kid could run at that time. I'm calling him a kid because I was just about finished. I was a fifth year senior, 22 years old, and he was 18. So we had different outlooks on life. But I saw the talent and the presence from him as a freshman. He was a young kid, and he had all of the talent, but you had to sort of punch him in the gut to make him do things. And so after every play in the huddle, before we would get to play, I was in his grill, basically making him pissed off, and he would go out there and terrorize every play. But on the plays that I didn't say anything to him, it was just like, oh, not so. I'll get it done, but not to the point where he was dominating. And Q has always had that ability, and it showed in the years that he, progressed as an Aggie. But then not only that, when he had an opportunity, I think he played for 9 teams in 7 years, or 7 teams in 9 years or something. But to have that sort of longevity in football is just unheard of. And that's just the type of person he was athletically. But I knew that, and yes, I was in his grill. And when I would come back, oftentimes, and he was a junior, senior, I would just give him the look because I wasn't in the huddle. I couldn't jump in the huddle on the field and say, hey, man, do it. And so when he came off the field and I was on the sidelines, it would just be that look like, what you going to do? And so I think now our relationship is a bit different in that I see his kids on Facebook, I see his wife, and so yeah, I love Kasim, and I'm happy for him. Something that should have probably happened at year 10 when he was eligible, as opposed to year 16, 17, I think. So yes, Kasim is one of those guys that's well deserving of the honor of being a A&T Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he was certainly very complimentary of you, and certainly gave you a lot of credit for getting him to this moment. So that was amazing that happened within you guys just being on the team together for 1 year. So that's a great thing there. Talk a little bit about the process because people come up to me all the time, former athletes, and they want to know, how do I get a part of this group, this family, be a part of this organization? And so tell people what the steps are in order to be considered to be an A&T Sports Hall of Fame.
Well, a lot of what the questions that they're probably asking you, they can read for themselves on the Hall of Fame website. I'm sure there's a link on Facebook and other places, but quite simply, you're eligible for induction or nomination, I should say, into the Hall of Fame after 10 years removed from your collegiate ambulatory status with A&T. And so in those 10 years, let's say, for instance, if someone played in 2011, their last credited season as a NCAA member student athlete was 2011, they would then be eligible for entry into nomination in 2021, which is this year. And typically on those nomination years, the applications and the booklet or pamphlet, I should say, is submitted to the Hall of Fame nominating chair. And that is all listed on the A&T Hall of Fame's website. But the nomination chair receives the packet before the end of the year, the physical year, so calendar year, which is December 31st. And so they then take those names. And I heard from the nomination chair this past go round, which was actually in 2020. Dexter Feaster was a chair, who was also a Hall of Famer football player from the 70s. He chaired that committee, and they had over 400 and some nominations. Wow. Yes, I said that too. 400 something nominations, and they narrowed it down to 50, and they narrowed it down again to what we have, I think, is 9 or 10 guys. And so, yes, it will only get more competitive as you see the excellence of A&T in these past 10 years with football, with women's basketball, with men's basketball, and all of the other sports. I think about, we were just before we went live talking about volleyball and that big win that they had. I think the young lady, E.B. is her name?
Edie Brewer?
Yep. She is phenomenal. I had a chance to look at a match on the laptop with my daughters, and they were amazed at the way that they play. And my daughters never hit a ball, but I don't think they'll be 6 feet tall. But in the event they are, maybe volleyball may be the thing for them. But yes, man, they've got some players here in the last 10 years, I would say, that are definitely worthy, but that time frame of you being removed from the university and your amateur status, it weighs on whether you can be nominated. And also, you can be self-nominated, or you can be nominated by Hall of Fame, a sports writer like yourself, or someone from the SID office, or whomever. You can submit a package on behalf of that person. So it's pretty neat. It's not one of those things where this is the good boys club and you're only allowed to join by secret invitation, so to speak. None of that. Everything is open to the public, and the viewings on the Hall of Fame, you could actually see that.
Yeah, the 2030s are going to be fun when the Randolph Ross Juniors come due, and the Edie Brewers, and some of the great Tariq Cohens, and some of these great folks that we've had over the last few years start to come due. It's going to be really interesting to see.
And it's going to make it hard for those who were not in, that probably should have gone in years past. So yeah, it's going to be interesting aspect. I hope I'm around to relish in the fact that people will be honored. Guys who are well deserving will be honored, just like Kasim, just like Curtis Burgess, who was an All-American. Can you believe it? Curtis Burgess was an All-American twice.
He's 6'4", free safety. I mean,
Yeah.
I was absolutely, when I met him, I was absolutely like, wow, you're a free safety. I mean, he looked like a power forward almost, but yeah, he's a big man.
Yeah. And you think about Al Burnett. He was 6'3". He was probably 225 when he played. I mean, Coach Hayes, and I'll say this about Coach. Coach was someone who recruited me, but Coach Hayes had a way of getting guys who weren't supposed to be at A&T with the size and the fit and the structure to buy into what his philosophy was. And if there's one thing that I could say about him is his leadership in pulling people from all walks of life to make them believe in one common goal. And definitely, yes, he had a bunch of Curtis Burgess over the years.
No question about it. We're with Mo Smith here, North Carolina A&T Sports Hall of Famer, and let's talk about you. You mentioned Curtis Burgess, Al Barnett, who was a quarterback when he first got here to North Carolina A&T, actually moved to strong safety and became an outstanding player. You also have two very good men's basketball coaches going in Warren Reynolds and Don Corbett. Talk about how special that is for them to go in, and it's kind of a shame that they're not here to kind of get their roses.
Certainly, and if I'm not mistaken, Corbett's Sports Arena is named after Coach Don Corbett, correct?
No, it's named after actually his great uncle, I believe, Ellis F. Corbett, who was a former SID. It's named after him, but the court is named after Cal Irvin and Don Corbett.
Okay, teach me, brother. Teach me, because I didn't know that. See, my love for basketball evaded me when I broke my ankle my senior season. So I haven't touched a basketball seriously since that day. But that's interesting, man. That's interesting. Yeah. I remember hearing about, and I'll not only not skip over those two coaches, but I remember hearing about Joe Bunyan because I was a basketball guy. And North Carolina, I grew up in Eastern North Carolina. That's all we did. We played on sandlot dirt basketball goals with the wooden pole and the plywood backboard in the ground. And we had a double court on our farm. And so a lot of guys from around the area would come to play on Sundays. That was the big day for us. But I remember hearing of Joe Bunyan from a basketball standpoint, even when I was 10, 11, 12 years old. And then, of course, you have those two coaches. And I think Coach Corbett is the winningest coach in the history of men's basketball at A&T. Yeah, that's in itself a big thing when you consider the number of times they actually went to the NCAAs and won the MEAC. That's pretty big, man. It is. But yes, long overdue. Not sure how that process didn't happen sooner, but I'm thankful that it did happen and someone stepped up and said, hey, he's deserving, and let me nominate him. But I think that's probably the biggest misconception is that people think that there's some sort of committee that looks out and says, okay, that person needs to come this time, that person needs to come. And that's not necessarily the case. There isn't a committee that looks out and says, oh, well, we have these people available now versus next year or the year after and so forth. And so I think now that we're talking, you and I are talking about it, that will possibly help and engage those who may have had an interest but just didn't know the procedures.
Yeah, certainly there's a lot of interest out there. I mean, 400 applications speaks for itself, and certainly those numbers are going to start to increase as the A&T student population increases. And so good luck to you guys. But certainly, Don Corbett, 7 straight NCAA tournament appearances, 7 straight conference championships. Nobody else has done that other than the University of Kentucky. So, he's in rare air, certainly, with that. And the funny thing about that whole thing, they beat the same team all 7 times. Howard. I couldn't. I saw that and I couldn't believe it. That's crazy.
All 7 times. Wow.
Yeah. That's.
Now, were you here you came in the early 90s, right? You came to A&T in the early 90s?
Yeah, I'm not that old. I didn't come in the 80s.
No, I wasn't ragging you, man. I wasn't ragging you. Good deal.
And certainly Warren Reynolds coached some of the greats here in North Carolina A&T, including James Sparrow, who many consider, along with Joe Binion, the greatest player to ever play here at North Carolina A&T. And let's hit on one last basketball player, Eric Boyd, who is also no longer with us, passed away in 2020. And just a smooth guard and part of those 80s teams that were just, frankly, unbeatable.
Outstanding. I remember seeing Mr. Sparrow being inducted. I was actually at that induction ceremony, witnessing another member of RBU, James White, being inducted that year. And I was really, really impressed looking at his resume and what he'd gone through. I think he's from the Bronx or New York or somewhere up that way. And we've had some great basketball players. We've had some great athletes at A&T. And it's funny because a lot of other HBCUs, especially those in other parts of the country, they don't know the significance of A&T athletics until you spill to them or share with them, hey, we did this. And it's quite interesting, the perception. We're not just the situation where we've come around the horn here in the last 10 years. This has been some excellence for quite a few years prior. There's been excellence quite a few years prior.
Oh, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt. We're here with Mo Smith. He is a North Carolina A&T Sports Hall of Famer, former NFL standout. Certainly some of his better years are with the Atlanta Falcons, and certainly giving us a preview of the North Carolina A&T Sports Hall of Fame. For you guys, you've got 4 football players, 3 men's basketball players, and a track and field person. Does the sport they play a role in selection? Do you not want to look too heavy toward football, or do you guys say we're just taking the best and leaving, leave it there?
I can't speak for the nomination committee because I didn't serve on it previously, but I would think that they would take just the best. And if it's 10 football players and 2 basketball players or what have you, they would just do that. I think of Odell Bender, who ran track during that time. He was a high jumper, and I remember him jumping pretty daggone high on the spaceman. But I would think that he also should have been maybe in that 2007 class or 8 class, and I'm not sure why or what happened, but those are just some of the things, man, that happens. And I think if guys don't know, they don't apply. I have here recently spoken with a quite number of folk who had no idea that it was a process, and they thought there was some gallery of people who would simply pick your name out of a hat and say, yeah, it's his time. Sort of like how the NFL does it. That's the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That's not necessarily the case with the A&T Hall of Famers. And so it's self-nomination or nomination with someone within the ranks. Did I freeze up or did you freeze up, Brian? I think you're frozen. Yep, I see you now. You were frozen there for a second. Are you telling me I should just go ahead and continue to talk? I don't know. I can talk all day.
We are with Mo Smith here, Carolina A&T. Talk a little bit about yeah. Did you hear my
Brian? Looks like you're having some connection difficulties. Hit F5 and refresh and come back in.
There you are.
Brian.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're coming in slow. Yeah.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Oh, great. Let's wrap up with Odell Bender's track and field. How important was it to have a track and field guy in this class?
I thought he was well deserving. He had some outstanding. I think he's still the school record holder in the high jump, which is that's I think going on 22 years, 23 years as the holder. That's big, man. That's big. That's big. But records are to be broken, and so I'm sure there will be a high jumper come through there and jump 7'3", 7'4", 7'5" in the coming years. I'm certain of that.
And certainly don't want to leave out Timothy Williams, who was the defensive back, played for the Minnesota Vikings, and was played in the first game ever at what was then called Aggie Stadium. Now it's Truist Stadium, but certainly don't want to leave him out and his accomplishments as well. So it's an outstanding class, and certainly we're looking forward to those 10 gentlemen going into the hall.
And BJ, don't forget BJ. Bruce Jenkins.
Bruce, yes. My apologies, Bruce. Actually, Bruce played with Terrell Robinson.
Right.
They played together. They were teammates. And, Bruce, a great guy. Actually, the last Aggie to average a double-double. He was a rebounding machine and certainly worthy of that honor. 1,000-point score, 500 rebounds. So, he got the job done. I think he was only like 6'5", and did some of those amazing things. So my apologies to you, Bruce. You are certainly more than well-deserving, and didn't mean to leave you out there, brother.
They'll just put you in a headlock this weekend, man.
That's right. That's right. I should know all of them. I spoke to every last one of them, and so I should know all of them from pretty well. But Maurice, I appreciate you joining us. Thank you, man. Thank the committee for the wonderful job that they do and all the hard work that they put in. That can't be easy, choosing from that many great athletes, great student athletes. And so we look forward to a great weekend and a win over North Carolina Central.
Certainly, man. I'm looking forward to it as well. I'll get to sharing the memories, and those are big, man. Creating memories for life, and that's the most important aspect in life, is creating memories that you value and that are meaningful. So certainly, I'm looking forward to it. See you on tomorrow, I guess.
See you. All right. Thank you, Mo. We're going to bring in volleyball player Shaylyn Hall, I believe. There she is. Got to take her off mute.
Hello.
Hal Clifton, her coach. Hey, Shaylyn.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing well. You look happy. Could that smile be because you beat Virginia Tech this past weekend with a thrilling come from behind 3-2 win? Just kind of describe that match for us.
That match was crazy. So when we first started, we did kind of, make a few mistakes, but I still feel like as a team, we started off very well, very strong. And after we lost the first 2 sets, we were like, hey, you guys, we have nothing to lose. This is our last non-conference game. Let's just give it our all. And that just motivated us to go harder. And we did what we had to do. And
Is there a difference in this team than what you've seen before here at North Carolina A&T? Kind of talk about the makeup of this team that goes into the Big South conference play 8-4.
Honestly, I feel like we're still like the same team as last year. I feel like we already have like a strong connection because most of our starters are like older players, so we're already comfortable and have experience playing with each other. But the freshmen have jumped in. It seems like they've been practicing with us forever, but they've been doing a great job, and I feel like overall we're doing really good.
Outstanding. We're with Shaylyn Hall, 6-foot senior middle blocker out of Raleigh, North Carolina. My home. It's good to have a fellow Raleigh Wood on the show. Talk a little bit about the start that you guys are off to this season. What was the focus coming into this season after coming off the MEAC championship in the spring?
I think our main focus was to keep, growing as a team, keep getting stronger, faster, because, we're in a new conference, new teams we haven't played before. So I think our main focus was, just to stay above. Like our bar was raised after we won MEACs. So just to keep building off of that.
And was there any fatigue after coming in after spring? Being revved up already after having.
Wait, could you repeat what you said? I'm sorry. You got it out.
You guys had to play in the spring. Was that a fatigue thing for you guys, or did you prefer that because you were already kind of in game shape by the time the fall came?
Personally, for me, I actually think it helped. I feel like I was able to, jump back into practice easier, honestly. But I think it helped us.
Now, you guys are the first volleyball team to beat a Power 5, first to beat a ACC school. Has that kind of sunk in yet, or does it got into your brain that you're the first? We've been playing volleyball for a long time. Is that amazing to you?
It is. Honestly, we deserve it, honestly. But yeah, that is crazy. I'm proud of us.
And you say you deserve it. Why do you think that?
We've been going really hard in the gym, and I feel like we put in so much work and it paid off.
What are your thoughts as you guys head into conference play, into a new conference, into a conference that you've never played in before? You sure you played some of these teams before, but
yeah.
What are you guys thinking as you start the Big South play, and it's not South Carolina State or Florida A&M or Bethune-Cookman, but it's UNC Asheville, Radford, and High Point?
I think playing with better competition is going to help us, and honestly, I think we're going to do fine. Honestly, just a mental thing. If we just play our game, do what we do, I think we'll jump right into this new conference.
Now, tell me about you. What brought you to North Carolina A&T?
Well, my main decision, I always wanted to go to HBCU first, and A&T was my number one choice. When I came here for my visit, the team just seemed like a family. That's one main reason why I chose A&T, and the campus. I fell in love with this campus.
Outstanding. And since you've been here, who have been some of your biggest influences? Who has kind of helped you navigate the college scene?
I have to say Edie. Edie helped me a lot, especially like my freshman year, sophomore year, and Courtney Pitt.
Now, describe for people who may not understand volleyball, haven't seen you play, maybe describe your game a little bit. You're kind of a high riser. You're tall, but you can get off the floor pretty good. So describe your game a little bit and let people know what you were able when you step out on the court.
So off the court, I'm kind of like a quiet person, but as soon as I step on the court, it's a different person. Like I feel like I get very aggressive, and I like talking, through the net, just have fun. I like being the aggressor, and that's one thing. One of our coaches, Coach Blank, tells us like be the aggressor. Nothing's wrong with that. So that's one thing I make sure I try to do when I'm on the court.
So what's your best trash talk?
Huh?
What's your best trash talk?
Oh. Let's see. At the Virginia Tech game, they're outside number 27, I believe. I think. What did she say? I said something, and she got mad. She was like, "Scoreboard, scoreboard," and and then I blocked her. I was like, "Scoreboard! Look at the scoreboard now!" And we were up, and stuff like that, just to get in people's heads. It's fun.
Hey,
It's fun.
I didn't think that would come out of you. That's pretty good. That is pretty good. Yeah. Now, so when you get set, when the setter sets you, where do you like the ball? I mean, do you like it closer to the net? Do you like it away from the net? Or kind of what's your preference?
A little closer to the net and like higher because I usually, we do ones or gaps, but I need my sets a little higher because I do jump pretty high. But I do like them a little close to the net. Yeah.
As you guys head into conference play, what are the thoughts? What are you guys thinking? How are you guys getting yourself motivated? And are you surprised that you were picked 6? Is that a motivating thing for you guys?
Yes, we're actually kind of disappointed that they ranked us as 6, but we're kind of used to being underestimated, so that kind of just motivated us to go even harder when we get into conference.
What did that Delaware State semifinal match teach you guys about just staying to the very end? That probably was one of the best things I've ever seen in my life, to be honest with you. But what did that teach you about just perseverance?
You just have to – you can't give up. It doesn't matter what the score is. You could be down 2, up 2. Keep playing. You just have to keep going to the very end.
No question about it. What do you like best about your hometown, Raleigh?
I would have to say downtown. I love our downtown. Yeah.
Outstanding. We're here with Shaylyn Hall. She is a North Carolina A&T middle blocker and a senior. You guys have UNC Asheville. What's going to be the focus on Friday?
Honestly, our focus, I feel like, is making sure our defense is strong. And that's one thing we've been working on in practice, just, having strong hands over the net and being the aggressors, of course, taking the swing off anything and just focusing on being aggressive during the whole match.
When you guys got Fatima, Shabazz back, and Edie and Courtney, did that give you guys a lot of confidence?
Yes.
Was that a confidence booster for you guys? That let you know that we might can do this again?
Yeah, honestly, a lot of confidence, honestly. And I feel like we're going to win this year. I have a lot of confidence in the team. I feel like we can do it. We definitely can do it.
Well, there's a lot of Aggies who are rooting for you to do it. A lot of Aggies that were really, really happy to see you score, and a lot of Aggies that are looking forward to cheering you guys on in 2021 as you try to make history in the Big South in the first season. Shaylyn, I appreciate you joining us. You've been a joy, and good luck to you. The rest of the luck, everything you see, all right?
All right, thank you.
All right. That was Shaylyn Hall. I'm Brian Holloway, closing out this week, and we hope to see you guys next week for more Aggie interviews. Bye-bye.